Hey everybody, how's it going? You can tell I'm not in the shop, and by the hood sticking up you can tell that I'm probably working on a vehicle. This is my kid's car. It is a Jeep Patriot. It's been a good little car, but a while back I got a code thrown for the throttle position sensor. Now the throttle position sensor is actually built into the throttle body housing, so I had to buy the entire throttle body housing just to get the TPS. I bought one, I put it on, and since then it has failed 4 times. This is about 2.5 months ago. I even took it into a garage and had it tested out, and it failed again last night. And luckily, my kids only drive around town. They go to school, they go to their friend's house, so they're within 5 to 10 miles, probably max distance of us. So it was no problem to get to her. And I babied the car home. I actually pulled the battery last night, or unplugged the negative cable, let it sit for 30 minutes, plugged the cable back up, which should have erased the ECM, and then I attempted to reprogram it. And it wouldn't take the reprogramming. It kept throwing the same code for a bad TPS. So I called the place today I bought it and said, hey, I want to get another one. I want to get an upgraded one. I don't want to buy this same brand because they're all rebuilt. I mean, you can't get new ones, right? So I took it off this morning and I just got back. I just picked this one up. I got to get the tag off of it. This is I think it's a Dorman. I don't know. They're all made in China, rebuilt in China. Who knows? But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this put on the car. Hopefully I can then reprogram the ECM and get the car running again for my kids. And then after that's done, I don't know if I'm going to get to too much turning today, but I'm going to start taking apart that garage door opener. I've got to get my garage door opener working. I was worried about it because I saw just a trickle of smoke come up from it the other day. And that scares me because that could mean fire hazard. Don't need that in the house, right? So we're going to work on that next. Depending on how long these 2 projects take, we'll determine if I get any shop time. I know tonight about 6:30, we're going to record episode 3 of You Made That. So I've got until about 6:30 to make this happen. And it should be fine. This is probably an hour job to get this put back together and hopefully, keep fingers crossed for me, test it and running. I'll keep you posted on what happens. I also picked up a little electronics cleaner while I was there. This port right here, the plug that snaps into there that takes the readings from the throttle position sensor, I'm gonna go ahead and clean it before I plug it back in just to make sure it's in good order. We're gonna read the can real quick, the directions, and then we're gonna go ahead and clean that before we install anything. That way there's plenty of time for the electronic parts to dry out. Well over an hour has passed, probably more like an hour and a half since I installed that throttle body in the car. Followed the procedure, and I'm getting the same issue I got before I put the throttle body in. I cannot clear the lightning bolt, which is an indicator on Chrysler's of a throttle position sensor issue, and the vehicle is staying in limp mode. I've gone ahead and unplugged the battery again. I had it unplugged while I installed it, but I'm going to let it sit without the battery plugged in for a minimum of half an hour. Then we'll try again. My big concern is that something could have gone wrong with the ECM, but what troubles me is if the ECM had an issue, why would it only show one component? You think that other things would fire as well. So in the meantime, I'm going to go back and try to, there's only one wire that plugs into it, or one connector that plugs into it. I'm going to try to follow that back. It is in, and I forgot what the name of the casing is, that ribbed casing that, you know, is supposed to protect it. I'm going to trace it back and make sure that it is not damaged anywhere, you know, while I wait for the half hour to expire on the battery. So not sure what the heck's going on. This thing has really been, it's been fighting me, but I'm gonna keep chipping away at it. Hopefully we can get it running today, and I'll keep you posted. And when we're done, we start dealing with that mess up there. Took a little break from the car, and I'm looking at the garage door opener, and I may have found my issue. You can see I've gone ahead and released the chain, and I was able to test that little trolley there, and it slides back. I mean, there is some dirt on the track, but it's not anything that's causing that to bind, and there's free movement at the pulley down at the end. Now up top, this is the gear that drives the chain. If you look inside, here's the gear that turns that gear. That's the reduction gear there. And then over here on the other side, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a worm gear there, and the motor spins that worm gear, which spins this gear, which in turn turns that gear. What's happening is you hit the button. I've got the chain off, so this gear actually spun maybe a half a revolution. It's trying to run, it's humming. What I think is happening is Look at this. I think the end is blown. I think this is like kind of a starter capacitor of some kind, and the end is all blown off of there. So I think what's happening is it's not getting enough juice to spin this motor over to turn all of this to be able to pull or raise or lower the door. So I'm going to look at some of the numbers on here and see if I can find one of these online and attempt to replace that. I don't see anything causing it to bind. I mean, as I look in there, there's plenty of grease on there. I mean, I could always add more grease. I even have this gear and the worm gear. I have actually a set of those from another garage door opener that I could pop in, but they're not damaged. I mean, you can look at them and see the teeth aren't chewed up or anything. They're just not spinning. So I don't know. Let me start by looking up that piece right there and see what I can find. Just grabbing the end of this shaft here. It's not binding at all. You can see the worm gear moving, and then you see the gear on the other side, which turns the gear on top. So the motor is free. I'm just worried that the motor is not getting the juice that it needs to be able to start its motion. I think I found the problem. Now I want you to know I did unplug it. I realized that this could still hold some type of a charge. So I've been really careful pulling it away, getting it out of there. I think I found the problem. Look at that. See how this wire here touches that wire? And on the back side, it looks like there's been a little shorting going on. It looks like the casing is melted. And then look on the back side of this capacitor, all the stuff that's come out of there. Look at how that's cracked. I mean, I'm calling it a capacitor. I could be wrong. But I'm going to pull this clip off of here, get a photo of this so that I can go in and try to order a replacement. And then I will, I'm going to leave this set not plugged in and leave this hanging for now. And I will borrow a set. I have a friend who is an electrician. I will borrow some of his, what do they call them, dielectric gloves or whatever, that I can hold this and his dielectric pliers so I can one at a time pull those out, attach them to the new one, and then get that put back in. So we'll be real careful with that. But yeah, I think this is definitely our problem. I'm just going to leave that hang there. I had to take my glasses off. I wear bifocals, and when you're up like that and you're trying to look at something, you're a little bit below it. You're looking through the top of your glasses, and you're essentially blind. So I had to take my glasses off to be able to work. But I'm heading in the house. I don't know what that black stuff is coming out of it, but since I was touching that thing, I'm going to go wash my hands thoroughly. I've got a good photo, a very clear photo of the writing on the side. Tonight when I go in, I'm going to get online and see if I can place an order for one of those and get it replaced, because the motor does fire and the gears do turn a little bit. I think it's just not getting everything it needs to really get that motor torqued to where it's doing what it's supposed to do. And I think that's the problem. So I'll keep you posted. Let me get cleaned up, and then I'm going to go back to working on the car. I've kind of come to the end of the rope on the car. I tested everything I could find. Everything associated with this symbol on the dash deals with the throttle position sensor. And I went ahead and took a meter and I tested it, and I have 4.5 volts exactly at the TPS. It says online I should have 5 volts. So I don't have the proper voltage, number one, if that's true. I was not able to do a back test. You're supposed to be able to plug that in, turn the ignition on, and then touch those wires with your meter. And as you move the butterfly, you should see it increase slightly. And it said increases up to 5 volts. So I don't know if 4.5 is correct and 5 is wide open. You know, and there's just I'm not exactly sure. I don't know that much. I don't know that much about this particular TPS and this particular motor and how it all works. But I couldn't do the back test because when I plugged the plug back into the throttle position sensor, the 2 wires I need to tap are on the back side of the plug right against the housing. I would have had to strip the cabling farther up, locate those 2 wires, and then tap them. And my meter is not, it's a Harbor Freight meter. It's not a high quality meter. It doesn't have the little things that can poke through the, you know, the points are not sharp enough to poke through the housing on the wire. And I thought, you know what, let's just stop. I'm going to take it to a garage and have them take a peek at it. I'm going to call them on Monday and see when they can get me in, because it just doesn't make sense. Like I said, this is a brand new, this is an upgraded model. I don't know. We'll see what happens. everything's tight. I took everything apart again, made sure I had good seals, which really a seal would make a difference in that it could suck dirty air if you didn't have a good seal, okay? But the butterfly is going to have to open to allow the proper amount of air to come through and go into the engine. So even if you didn't have a good seal, I don't think that would be too bad. It just would suck dirt and grime into your motor. But I tested it. I've got a great seal. I pulled the battery out so I could come in from the side. I've got everything torqued down to the proper torque specs. I checked the wires. I can't find any broken wires, no burnt wires. Everything looks good. I'm just beside myself. So I'm going to call this one, and we're going to talk to a mechanic on Monday and see if I can get it in and have them look at it. And if there's nothing they can do, I don't know where I'll be. Now, on the run capacitor for the garage door opener, I went on eBay, and like $18.14 after tax, I got one coming. It'll be here on the 20th. So that should be a relatively easy fix now that we've taken it apart. And I'll bet you that one bent wire, which I've never been inside that box before, so it had to come from the factory like that. I think somebody must have just bumped it installing it and bent that over, and those things must have just shorted out that capacitor, because the house is right about a little over 4 years old, and the garage door opener was put in when we built the house. So I feel pretty good about that. So we should have that run capacitor in a couple days, and I'll get that installed. So I think I am on the road to recovery on that. I'm sitting in the garage right now. I'm taking it easy. I'm going to try to get over in the shop and do some turning here, but right now I'm just tired, man. The heat just takes it out of you. So just kicking back for a minute, enjoying a cool glass of ice water, and I'll let you guys know if anything else happens in the old shop. No pins for me today, but I went ahead and got my metal detector down. I think I've been kind of getting the bug to get out and do a little searching. I really have no place to go at the moment. However, I'm going to clean my detector up, prep it, have it ready to go, and then I'm going to start asking around to see if I can find a spot to go out and run the coil over the ground. I got this box joint making jig from a buddy of mine who was getting rid of a lot of his stuff. It was brand new. I just literally tore the package open, and it comes with everything. I mean, it's got the bit, it's got the centering pin, it's actually 2 bits. I mean, everything you need is here. You just have to put it together, and here are the instructions, and there's a DVD. I'll need to watch that as well, but I'm going to play around with this a little bit. I've also got the other stuff over here. I don't know what all this is. This looks like a bigger set here. You got the, I don't know, just there's so much stuff that came with it, and I just thought I would start with this, try to figure it out, basically get it all put together, because, you know, it comes in pieces. You have to assemble it, and until I assemble it, you know, it'll be easier to store once it's assembled. So I'm going to work on this for just a little bit. I'm playing around. I am totally out of turning pins. It's been a busy couple of weeks, you know, with working on the podcast. We've had a lot of extra work with that. I've been trying to put together videos, and I've got quite a few videos uploaded and ready to distribute. They are all on unlisted, working on videos for both my channel as well as from Patreon only videos. So I'm double dutying on the videos, and then of course making the videos for this channel, and just trying to just stay busy in the shop, and all the stuff going on around the house here lately. The car, you know, the opener up here. I'm dodging this chain as it hangs down. I'm just not in the mood to turn. I need a break from it. So that's why the metal detector is starting to creep into my mind. I'm going to play with this. I think this will be cool, because what I'm thinking is if I can figure it out, might make some cool pin blanks. So there might be a means to an end. I don't know what to expect when I start working on this, but I'm just going to goof off. I don't expect to get very far tonight, but I want to see what this is all about, and I want to try to figure out what all this other stuff is. He's got tons and tons of these jigs. I'm amazed at how much stuff I got from him. It's incredible. I've started the assembly, and so far I've got this taken care of. Quite a bit more to go, but I just got the call that it's dinner time. So that's going to wrap it up for me. I'm going to call it quits. After dinner, I'm going to grab a shower, and then I'm going to prep for the recording of the podcast. And the rest of the night is just going to be taking it easy, just a relaxing Sunday afternoon, because like I said, it's been rough these last few days. But all right, I'll talk to you guys again very, very soon. Maybe tomorrow night if we're lucky.